The course deviation caused the capsule to miss its splashdown point by a wide margin. It didn't have enough time to decelerate before crashing into the sea. The force of the impact shattered the spacecraft before it started to sink like a stone.
But the boss was totally fine.
The boss used the last of her strength.
Well, I guess this is my destiny. Okay.
Her body was
I am loyal to this capsule.
Scorched by radiation. It was a miracle she was still alive.
Of course.
She slipped into a coma and didn't regain consciousness for 6 months. To some, what was worst of all was that she had lost the space race to Gagarin by only a few minutes. That aside, it should have been a proud day for America. Its first manned spaceflight. Sadly, her accomplishment was kept out of the history books. An attempt to save face by Washington.
For being a couple minutes late?
To Gagarin's orbital
I don't
flight,
understand.
America had only managed a ballistic trajectory. Her flight time was much shorter, too. And most importantly,
The numbers are smaller. Our dick is tiny.
You can't know.
Safely.
Damn it.
NASA couldn't even conjure up a half-hearted tale of heroic
Operation
survival.
Cover Up Our Dicks.
The coup de grace, though, was the Soviet propaganda campaign that kicked into gear after the flight. The Earth was blue. Those were the words of Gagarin on his return.
She like scoffed at the end.
world was listening.
What an asshole.
In the blink of an
What a
eye,
fucking prick that
was an
Gagarin.
international
Doing something
celebrity
amazing for
earning accolades
science.
from
Fuck
every
that dude.
corner. It was a PR coup for the Soviet Union. Meanwhile, Washington could only grit its teeth in silence. They decided there was no value in making the boss's flight public, that it would only make matters worse. So they buried it instead, labeling it a dark mission.
Is that like a real term? Dark
NASA and
mission?
the CIA did everything
I usually
in their
thought it'd be
power
like
to
black.
erase all traces
Yeah.
of the boss
I mean, I could be
Project
wrong, but that's...
Mercury.
Dark missions are dark and edgy.
The result was the
Don't
photo.
watch these if your parents are around.
Not a bad job, huh? Not only did they expunge her flight from the records, they denied that she ever existed.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't the end of
No,
it.
of course it's not.
Then they
because-
pooped at her face.
The military
What else could they
claimed
do?
she'd taken part in the CIA's botched Bay of Pigs plot to take back Cuba.
What?
And when the boss
No, this was in
finally well enough to
MGS3.
return to service,
No, but I just like
they wouldn't take her back. She was forced to go underground.
that this is like
In the
immediately
public eye,
afterwards.
the boss was still a hero of World War II.
I don't know if it's like
In
immediately.
reality, though, she was
but yeah, pretty
anything but
soon.
that. She was a non-person, fit only for the blackest of black ops. In effect, she may as well have been dead.
I mean, not really. That makes her really useful
Gagarin
because
went on a World War
you know a lot of
tour
people who
attracting
can do those
millions of
ops.
adoring fans. The boss,
Truly.
meanwhile, was a walking secret, unable to breathe a word about her experience.
I mean, that does suck. But the fact
authorities in
is,
Washington had this to say.
that's an important position. They need...
Why are you still here?
Oh, wow. Come on. Washington, you're
If
such a
only
dick.
He had the decency to give us a nice quote like Gagarin and then die an honorable death, you'd have gone down as a hero.
I don't know who that guy was, but his name was like
Shepard, one of the
Warm
Mercury
Dude or
sons,
something.
made his own ballistic flight.
I heard he was an
Sure
asshole.
didn't try to cover up his achievement. Of course, he owed his success to the lessons
Hot
learned
boy?
from the boss's
No.
tragedy.
No,
Before
that's not
sending
right.
Gagarin up into space, the Soviets had used
Ice
an
Lad,
enemy
no.
called Ivan Ivanovich to test
No,
the
it's something like
secrets,
Ice Lad.
which would make the boss America's version of a crash test dummy. But she didn't care. I'm happy to be the dummy, she said. If it'll help the project succeed.
Ugh.
Nothing would
Boss,
give
I think you need
greater
therapy, like really bad.
Seriously, you need some self-worth issues for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The boss had worked through
Come
the
on.
anti-Moscow faction of the Soviet Union's philosophers to place the sleeper agent. And at some point, the Soviets found out
Of
about
course,
it.
because the Soviets in the story are apparently
The
amazing.
Americans remained oblivious to the end.
Which is pretty great.
Even the philosopher network the boss plugged into never did
Well, at least
them
they
off
become
to the
fuck-ups
dumb
after
boss. That could only mean one
I
of
don't
two
know.
things.
Peace Walker.
Either the pro-Moscow philosophers had intervened, or the anti-Moscow philosophers had been turned. Either way, it was a situation their American counterparts couldn't stand. To preserve the philosopher's good name, and to repay her debt, so to speak. The boss
Hey,
once
you
again
owe
made
us if
her
we
way
fucked you over
into
like
the
1,000 times.
There.
So who owes who
She found
here?
herself face to
I'm
face
confused.
with
I
the
owe you?
Soviets of
That's what you're
old
saying?
Egypt.
Yes. Oh, alright.
And who should she find awaiting her return to Russia? The one who'd turned her sleeper against her. Who'd fed them lies all this time. It was her former comrade. in
Oh
arms.
boy, of
Oh,
course.
the sorrow, you dick!
Child.
I thought you were
The man
like a
known
cool
as the
dude.
Sorrow.
Well, he was cool as a
It
ghost.
was the
Oh,
boss
that's true.
who'd sent the sleeper. Or to be
When he
more
killed
precise,
Volgan with lightning,
the
that's
Soviet
pretty neat.
philosophers
Yeah.
never told him. Former lovers, forced to fight to the death.
Also,
would
one of them
live
knew how to
and
talk to
one would
ghosts
die.
or something, I don't
She
know.
Oh, I don't know. Who knows?
That was the revenge the Soviet
You know anything about that snake?
philosophers had
Nah.
in store for me.
Nothing.
Both of them survived. Their
I mean,
child
you know,
would suffer in their
the
place.
fact is, I think I've been hallucinating
They
for
were left
years.
with no other
I just talked to a
option.
fucking cat.
The boss
I mean, I just killed a dinosaur. I am in no clear state of mind.
When she returned
No
from the
conditioned
Soviet
ass. Answer
Union,
any
I'm pretty
real
sure I'm
questions.
dead and I'm just in limbo or something.
That's probably what's
Or
happening.
maybe Valhalla, I think that fits me
everything
pretty well.
was a country. And in return, they treated her like
Yeah.
a dead woman.
Like, utter shit.
She was made a scapegoat for no good reason. Only because power had changed hands in Washington. Any lesser being would have long since cracked.
Any rational human being, yeah.
It was then
Or they
that
just would have
one-year-old SAS
thrown up their
comrade
hands and
reached
go,
out to
fuck
her.
this!
Major Zero. And so Fox was born. She undertook a mission that, well, you should know better than anybody.
What was that?
You were a part of it.
I don't remember.
What? Huh?
20 days after Shepard's flight, President Kennedy announced that America would put a man on the moon. Without the intelligence the boss obtained, America's space program would never have caught up.
But America
Armstrong
didn't
and
care about that
Aldrin
shit.
might never have walked
Fuck
on
it.
the moon,
Fuck that lady.
but the American
That helpful woman that we blame everyone for everything bad happening ever.
Who cares? We got rockets, look at this. Pew!
Tragedy
Yeah!
doesn't even begin to describe what she endured. The Soviets
One might
continued their
describe it
manned
as
space
absurd
flights,
tragedy.
and in 1963, Valentina Tereshkova became the so-called first woman in space. It said they took their cue from NASA's long-buried Mercury Lady project. And so that, Snake, is the mission that kept her away from you for so long. Now, I know what you're thinking.
Thinking about birds.
Why not use me as her agent? She knew I'd never even think of betraying her. I think it's because she didn't want to drag you into it. She probably knew.
I mean, thank God she did, and I'll just burn to death later in my life. I mean,
Turn to the philosophers, and once she did that, whatever came of it, there'd be a price to pay. No one understood that better than her.
I mean, I guess.
So please, Snake, let it go.
I kinda already let it go weeks ago when I blew her up when she was a robot.
She left me to decide whether or not to pass it along to you. I know she was torn about it.
I love, like, the million people that apparently were, like, besties with the boss.
Probably blame herself. Why did she hold on?
Oh, that's Metal Gear. Everybody's connected to everyone
That's true.
in some fashion.
To remind her of how much.
I'm pretty sure everybody's like a cousin, actually, in this game.
She wasn't that kind of person. No. I think she meant it to be a message to you. She had her identity, her life, taken away.
Why couldn't she just tell me
But
this?
she wanted you, of all people.
She's shy, Snake.
Snake.
But she told me.
You probably already figured this out, but it's no accident that I'm only now sending you something I've withheld for so long. A little bird tells me you recently
Birds.
made a big decision.
I love birds.
That is what I was thinking about. You're right. Wait, were you saying something else in between that?
And I'm not trying to second guess you. I simply wanted you to know what she saw, how she felt. That's all. Keep it with you, Snake. Keep it deep inside. Don't ever forget the path she took. Because you and I are the only people on this earth who know the truth.
Boss, I'm sorry.